Welcome to the Private Lenders Podcast with your hosts from Hard Money Bankers, Jason Balin and Chris Haddon. This podcast is sponsored by hardmoneymastermind.com.
Hey everyone, Chris and Jason here, Private Lenders Podcast. Today we are talking about how to convert leads to loans, what the process is like. Real quick, I want to mention something about portfolio management. If you currently have 5 or more loans outstanding, you should be using one of the proper industry softwares to manage these loans for origination, for processing, document production, term sheets, moving money like pulling borrower payments, sending proper statements on the investor side, all that stuff. If you are not up and running on a software yet, or if you're looking for an upgrade, go check out lendrsoftware.com, lender, lendrsoftware.com, and mention this podcast for a discount on the setup. All right, so we're talking about leads converting to loans because the reality in this business is that it's a high lead flow game. We get a lot of leads, inquiries. They come from text, email, web forms, phone calls, social media. It comes from every angle. And what are we doing exactly to respond to these leads, to nurture them, to follow up with them so that we can turn the good ones into actual loans and close deals? What that process looks like is exactly what we're discussing today.
Shout out to Shelby Reed. She shot me an email because we forwarded her a lead about a week or so ago. Depending on when you're listening to this podcast, we had a lead in her area that came in, so I forwarded it to her, and she was like, "Hey, I really want to know more about how you're using Keep, which is Infusionsoft, for your lead follow-up podcast topic?" ? I'm like, "That's a great podcast topic. We should do a podcast topic on this because I think it's important, and we are pretty serious about understanding the value of the leads that come in, and we want to do whatever we can to get them on the phone and try to get them converted into loans as quick as possible." It's one thing I learned early on before we started Hard Money Bankers. I was working at a mortgage company. The guy was like, "Listen, you get a lead that comes in, you get them on the phone, and you do whatever you can to try to get them converted before they pick up the phone and start calling somebody else." And there's too many lenders out there that they're not answering their phones. They're not prioritizing calling leads back quick enough. They're giving their leads work to do before they'll even, pre-qualify a conversation. Just get on the phone and talk to them. And some of the things we're going to talk about here real quick are the things that we do in order to get potential leads on the phone. Because as a lender, as a hard money lender, and Alex Hormozi justified this when I re-listened to his launch today. I don't know if you saw that, Chris, that I sent this to you. But a hard money lender called in about some things to help grow the business. And literally all he said was, "Oh, dude, you got a lead flow problem. Go out and find more freaking leads and loans and all these."
I haven't heard that yet, but I'm going to. I saw that you said it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 5-minute clip. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, didn't learn anything new that I didn't know, but it was good to justify that even Hormozi said the same thing. That was the takeaway. Ian sent it to me earlier today. And he's like, "Listen to this. A hard money lender called in." I was like, perfect, because he's right. Like, get the freaking phone ringing over and over. Like, no, that's the problem. If anyone thinks they have problems inside their business, the problem is leads. Keep working every day to get leads. And as soon as you can get them in over and over and over from all the free sources, if you have plenty of leads from your free sources, that means you're making enough money that you can start using that money to go get paid sources and try to get more and more and more leads in the door. All right. So anyways, so we have a few different processes. We have a few different automations that we use. We use Keep/Infusionsoft. You certainly don't need to. We use that to help automate our autoresponders and our text messages and our ringless voicemails and things like that. We don't need to. You can, either do this somewhat manually, or you can do this with other sources or Band-Aid some of the cheaper softwares together. We've been using Infusionsoft for a long period of time, and it's certainly not necessary. But in essence, what happens is, where do leads come from, right? So leads are coming in through emails, text messages, web forms, web forms that people are going to your website, they're calling you, or they're going through some sort of like third party, website or form that's getting pushed to you, right? That you're potentially buying leads or something like that. Am I missing any? I think that's for the most part, where they all come from. So the goal of any incoming lead is to get them on the phone. Get them on the phone, have a conversation. Every time, no excuses. Those phone calls should be anywhere between 1 minute and 5 minutes. Very, very quick calls. You should be able to do tons of them every day. Different conversation of scripting. That's not this topic, but we've done plenty of videos on that. Okay, so let's say they're coming through a web application on your website. So what happens is someone fills out a loan application on our website, and the automation that we have in place is they get sent to a thank you page, which is a video from me that says, hey, thanks for applying, for a loan for Hard Money Bankers. We're reviewing everything now. We'll get in touch with you very, very, very soon. Right. So they've already got like an actual touch from us, like, oh, shoot, this is a picture of Jason, a video of Jason. He's going to be reaching out to me, or someone from his team's going to be reaching out to me soon. They're going to get an automatic email that goes out immediately. Thanks so much. We're prioritizing your application. We're going to get back to you very soon. They get 2 text messages. They might only get 1 text message now, but at one point in our business, we had 2 text messages. The one that they're getting now is how's it read? If I put up my phone, I can tell you. But in essence, it reads like, we just received your application and we'll call you soon. By the way, when do you need to close? ? Right. And what that does is they know that, we're prioritizing this. They know they're going to get a call from us, but then they also initiate a text conversation back. So then all of a sudden, half the time before I even get notified that we have a loan application come through, right? Because like I said, I didn't check my email in the last few minutes. People will text me like, thanks, I need to close, at the end of this month or tomorrow or something like that, right? And then it's like, oh, cool, we already had a conversation. I can just text them back. I can call it or whatever. I'm like, cool, I'll call you soon, right? So like they're taking action and initiating that. At one point, we also had a second text message that was a picture of, it was a video. It says, hey, thanks for reaching out. This is me, Jason. I'm a real person type of thing. I'll call you soon, but just wanted to introduce myself over text, right? So they just got another text message. So we have this automated that based on, we have different loan officers and partners for different offices. So we have the automation set up that if the loan comes in Pennsylvania, Ian gets it. If it comes in this state, Ryan gets it. If it comes in this state, Dave gets it. So we have different automation inside that based on the state field, right? So whatever state that it comes in, there's different automation. So Keep helps us with that. But the important part is it's that they're helping with, and this is just kind of the first part of the follow-up. This is just the immediate contact. But in essence, the purpose of this is soon as it comes in, they're getting texts, they're getting calls, they're getting emails, as much contact as possible. So they just stop shopping around and trying to call multiple parties. And that's kind of the important part. And that's kind of where the logic is. Now, again, if you don't have this logic in place, that's okay. You just need to get them on the phone as quick as possible. You need to send them an email as quick as possible. Start doing some of this stuff manually, and then start automating some pieces of this kind of as you go along.
Okay, so what happens next? Like just using the example of an online loan application, because that one's common and it's one of our preferred ways to get leads because we get a good amount of information. So let's say, at noon, the loan application comes in, they get an autoresponder email, they get an immediate text and say they respond to it. What typically is going to happen next? Within the next hour or so, you'll probably take a look at it and just reach out and give them a call right away.
Yeah, like we're not doing any due diligence on the property until we have a phone call with people. That's a mistake. Like the 2 mistakes that lenders are making is their first contact will be like, hey, here's my loan application, fill this out. And when I say online loan application, this isn't a real loan application. This is several fields. It's kind of enough fields to determine that, hey, they're qualified enough that they spend enough time to fill out a few fields. Compared to, hey, I just put my name and my email in type of thing, right? This isn't like a full loan application. You don't need one. So the mistakes are lenders will either send them the full loan application first and say, hey, go fill out this loan application. And, after you do, I'll get back to you and see what we can do. That's a mistake. Don't give them work to do, right? They want to make this, you want to make this easy for them. You already know that they're qualified enough because they filled out your mini form on your website, type of thing. And maybe they're not qualified, but the point is you got to get them. You want to get them on the phone. If you're giving them work, they're just going to go say F off, and they're going to go find someone who's easier to deal with. So that's one mistake. The second mistake is not prioritizing getting them on the phone as quick as possible. You might email them back. You might text them. Like the goal is to get them on the phone and have the conversation there. I remember what the other mistake is I was going to say is doing due diligence before you get on the phone with them. Don't worry about due diligence. It doesn't matter. Get them on the freaking phone and figure out if it's something. It's like, hey, the property's in the state that you lend in. They're interested in doing a fix and flip or whatever. They have a free and clear property they need, some bridge money on. Get them on the phone and get the story. Figure the whole thing out. That conversation should not take more than a few minutes ever. Get them on the phone, introduce we've done lots of scripting on this and we've done other episodes related to it. There's lots of trainings on this particular topic. Get them on the phone, figure out what they're looking to accomplish in their own words, and see if it's something that you're interested in pursuing. That's the next step and the most important.
So, okay, let's say that you get on the phone with them, you discussed a deal. It seems like something we would probably do. You float out like a soft quote, basically. You said we would come in around here, 250 loan amount, 60 held back, whatever the numbers might be.
Yep.
And they give kind of a maybe answer or like an I'll get back to you sort of thing. What happens after that in terms of follow-up?
Well, it depends on why that maybe is. Like, do they have a property under contract? Do they not have a property under contract? Are they just trying to get basic information? If they're trying to get basic information, like there's no other due diligence you need to do besides provide them value of, hey, listen, we're a private lender. We've been around for a long time. Happy to help you out. We don't use institutional capital. We don't use our own money. These are our terms. You're approximately going to need 20% down plus closing costs. So in essence, for every $100,000 you borrow, you're going to need $25,000 or $28,000 cash to close. That's where we're going to come in at. Happy to help you. Need to move quick type of situation.
Well, let's say it's a situation where it's not an inquiry. They're looking for a loan. They have to close at the end of the month, and they give you a maybe.
Yeah, well,
because I'm sure a lot of people listening or watching are curious about how to follow up, because we all quote a lot of deals. We all have a lot of conversations. What do you do to close?
Well, it depends so it kind of depends on what the maybe is. Like a maybe is kind of is a no. It's either like we're proceeding or we're not proceeding type of situation. A maybe is like, hey, listen, if this isn't what you want to do, that's okay, but this isn't going to be the best. We might not be the best option for you if that's the case. So the options either it's like a yes, and it's like, cool, let's put together a term sheet, send me over your purchase contract and we'll send you over a term sheet, where the option is like, yeah, I don't know, maybe I got to think about it, no type of thing. So it's either you kind of want to press somewhat hard to determine that. Now, those do happen sometimes. And if those do, you got to figure out, well, what's the next follow-up date? Like if the maybe is like, I'd like to go with you, but like, just to be quite honest, like I have enough cash. I just don't want to put $80,000 in this deal. I'd like to put down 50. You're coming in at 80. And it's like, hey, listen, if bringing, less cash to the table is more important to you than potentially, risking closing on time, because if you go to an institutional back lender, you could probably bring less cash to the table, but it's going to be a harder project. And if they're like, I get it, and I really want to use private money or hard money, I don't really want to go the institution route, but honestly, like I want to put down 50 or 40. I don't want to put down 80. And that's like, I get it. We might not be the best fit for you on this particular project. Like, I'm not going to supply them a term sheet. I'm not going to go through that road. This is going to be a verbal conversation. And they're like, I get it. Let me think about it for a day and I'll get back to you. Right. And if they're like, hey, can you send me anything in writing? Be like, honestly, like there's nothing that you really need. Like we don't really send out term sheets unless you're verbally ready to proceed. That being said, we already told you what the deal was going to be. You're going to need $80,000 cash to close. Our terms are 12.99 at 3 points. It's a 1-year loan. Think about it and let me know. You told me that you had to close by the end of the month. We only have 10 days. We're going to have to move quick type of situation. Let me know, like when should we follow up type of thing. Right. And it's like, okay, give me until tomorrow. I'll be like, okay, great. Do you want to schedule a call at 5 o'clock tomorrow? Right. And then you put a timeline on it or something like that. So you got to have some sort of, if it's a maybe, it's like, cool, when are we going to talk next? If it's a no, and that's no problem, right? So typically what ends up being no is them not necessarily telling us no, us telling them no. Say, hey, this isn't probably going to be the best fit in this particular situation. It looks like you're trying to get higher leverage. The institutional capital might be best for you. If you want to come back and, chat in the future, happy to do so then. Because you want some closure. So at the end of the conversation, you're either putting them on your follow-up list or you're not putting them on your follow-up list. So we have, and I do this, a lot of people in the Mastermind group does this, all of our partners in other offices does this. We have Google Sheets that in essence, we're tracking all the leads that we're working. And like, we might talk to hundreds of them throughout, a few weeks, but like only a few of them are going. These are the ones that are like, have to get followed up with. So the ones that are no's, that we turn into no's, we're not following up with them. Really what ends up happening is, cool, we maybe send them a follow-up email once. It says, hey, nice chatting with you. Unfortunately, this wasn't a great fit. It seems like using institutional capital better be a better option for you. You're looking for higher leverage, cheaper fees. No problem. I get that. If you need anything in the future, here's my direct information, right? So that goes in a one email out, and then they get put into your CRM, which anyone in the CRM, they're going to get emails multiple times a week. Or if you're just starting out, make sure you're sending them one email a week. So they're still going to see you, but you don't need to personally follow up with them doing anything. Like at that point, it's dead.
So who does make it out of the follow-up list?
Which follow-up list? Like the CRM list or just the follow-up list? Like the one-off manual list. The CRM's
the one-off manual list that you mentioned.
Yeah. So only the ones that are ready to proceed. We got to send a term sheet and we have next steps, or the one that's, you mentioned like the maybes, those people. And the follow-up is, this is the particular situation. This is what I'm following up with them. I'm going to call them tomorrow and we're going to get a yes or a no out. So like those things don't stay around for that period of time. Like we're setting there's timelines that have to get in place. Like if someone doesn't need to close until like 4 months later, there's nothing you can really do at that point, right? Most of the deals that you're getting is someone you're talking to is either somebody who's just not shopping around, just kind of getting started into the game, which you provide them tons of value, and then you put them on your CRM, right? So they're going to see, nurture stuff from you forever, your weekly emails, or somebody who has a property under contract or will have a property under contract very, very soon. And like real estate investors aren't putting deals under contract for 2 months. They're typically putting them under contracts that need to close in a few weeks. And it's cool. When are we going to follow up next type of situation? So it's typically like a few a day, maybe out of hundreds a week or hundreds a month, a few here and there, some days none, just depends on the situation, but not many of them because you're getting closure immediately. Are we going to proceed? Or are we not going to proceed? Like there's really just not that many maybes. If it's like, hey, I got to think, what you said, you got to think about it. Okay, no problem. Let's touch base tomorrow. And then they'll go on the follow-up list. And then tomorrow's going to come along and be like, hey, and this is a real life situation. Hey, we chatted yesterday. I know you were trying to get cheaper capital out there, and I get it. Like it makes sense. If that's the direction you want to focus on and spend time on, that's fine. Just understand the risks. We can help you. You told me you need to close by, the end of the month. Happy to do so. Let me know if this will be a good option for you. Right. And then if they're like, yeah, I get it. And I really like to work with you guys, but I think I'm going to go, spend time and go down this institutional route. I really want to bring less money to the table. I think I get an extension. So even if they can't meet that timeline, be like, no problem. That works. I'll send you an email follow up just so you have all my direct contact if you need anything in the future, and we'll touch base then. Right. And then they get taken off the list. There's no need to talk to them anymore.
Yeah. So the idea is with the follow-up list is that they're coming off one way or the other. Either they're turning into a deal or they're giving us a no and we move on.
Yeah. I mean, I have on my list right now, there's, just my personal one, has nothing to do with any of the other offices. I have 20 of them, and there's like 6 that need to get followed up with. The other ones are in the pipeline, ready to close or things like that. A few of them have term sheets that have sent out. We can talk about that for a little bit. Like, what's that process? A few of them have term sheets that sent out, and a few of them are kind of like, hey, I need to freaking stalk these people because I think I can get them converted. Add those to the maybe list type of situations. And maybe when I called them back, they didn't call back or something like that. So I'm going to stalk the crap out of them until they give me a yes or no. That's the game plan.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's important to emphasize again for anyone watching or listening that number one is lead flow. You got to get a lot of leads, got to get a lot of at-bats. You have to have leads in order to quote the loan amounts you want and the price you want. It's just the way it goes. The more leads you have, the more comfortable you're going to be doing that. And then it's all about follow-up. With those deals that seem to have legs, seem viable, seem like a good project, a good borrower, you've given them your verbal quote or maybe even a term sheet as well. And then it's a follow-up game to where they can either get in the pipeline or move along. And they, of course, will stay inside our CRM so that they'll get our emails for sure, occasional text messages and voice broadcasts, and we'll stay in front of them until the next deal. It might be later this year, it might be next year or the year after. But the idea is that hopefully at some point, they're going to need our funds for some deal down the road. And a lot of them do. A lot of them do. It's a follow-up game. It's a comeback game. Hope you guys enjoyed the information today. We'll definitely see you here next time on the podcast. And until then, we'll see everyone inside hardmoneymastermind.com.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Private Lenders Podcast. Please note that the opinions stated by all the speakers on this show are only opinions and not intended for legal, financial, or accounting advice. Please make sure to always check with your own legal, accounting, and financial professionals. If you enjoyed this episode of the Private Lenders Podcast, we'd appreciate it if you would spread the word. Make sure to check out hardmoneymastermind.com, the #1 free community for new and experienced private and hard money lenders.